Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Laziness is our topic, a very interesting topic on the table here. I hope, dear brothers and sisters, that you will enjoy it with us. With us here in the studio is our brothers Lukman Hakim. He's from Indonesia, and he studies at Al-Azhar University, postgraduate studies. Assalamu alaikum, brother. And also, of course, Brother Mustafa Abdul Qayyum, and he is head of Turjuman Translation Center. Thank you very much, Brother Mustafa. Always a great pleasure to have both of you here with us on the program. You're all smiles. I guess, again, the topic would draw smiles. Who wants to who's not lazy enough and who wants to take the first go here?
I'm too lazy, Brother Lukman.
Okay, first of all, let me begin by saying all praises are due to Allah, the Lord of the universe. May peace and blessing be upon our beloved Prophet, his family, his companion, and for those who follow them in the righteousness until the day of judgment. So today we would like to discuss the interesting topic about laziness. I think when we are talking about this topic, every one of us will feel that I am one of them. But we would like to discuss and to understand this topic very well in order that we can overcome, how to overcome this laziness in our life. So first of all, when we are going to talk about laziness, sometimes we think that it is about the personal laziness, but actually laziness is something very broad. It's not about personal laziness. Sometimes it's deal with society laziness, educational laziness, and so far and so on. But if we are going to look at the definition of laziness, because we have many scholars in the early time of Islam or until today, we have many scholars who were talking about the definition of laziness. So I would like to pick up one of the definition from Ar-Rahib al-Asfahani. He is one of the renowned Islamic scholars, and he wrote the book Mufradat al-Quran, or the vocabulary of the Quran, or the dictionary of the Quran. When he was trying to give the definition of laziness, he said that laziness is the lack of energy of doing something that you should not lack of doing it. So if you look at this definition, you will know that actually laziness is very broad. It's not related to the personal laziness, but it relates to every aspect of our life. But if we are going to look at the word of laziness in the Quran, for instance, we need to understand it. If you look at the Quran, the word of laziness, we call it in Arabic al-kasal.
Yes.
And this word actually mentioned twice in the Quran, and it's related to the hypocrites or al-munafiqin, and also their state of, they are lazy of doing the salah. So the first ayah that is talking about this laziness related to al-munafiqin or hypocrite, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِذَا قَامُوا إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ قَامُوا كُسَالَى. So when hypocrites, when al-munafiqun, they stand up for the prayer, they will stand up by laziness. So if you look at this ayah, Allah is describing, Allah is telling us about the state of the hypocrites. They used to be lazy of doing salah. So we are as Muslims, so we are not supposed to be lazy. Whenever we hear the voice or the call of the prayer, al-adhan, we should be hurry up. But it's not easy, because we have Muslim, and they don't pay attention to the time of salah. Although we sometimes hear the voice of adhan, we not answer it. We not go to masjid. We not go to mosque. And the second ayah that is talking about the laziness, it is also relating to the hypocrite. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا يَأْتُونَ الصَّلَاةَ إِلَّا وَهُمْ كُسَالَى. And the hypocrites, they do not stand up for salah, for prayer, except by lazy state. So the word of laziness is mentioned in the Quran twice. So we hope that we are not one of the al-munafiqin, because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the laziness, this characteristic is related to al-munafiqin.
Yes.
So Muslims are not supposed to be lazy people.
Indeed. Barakallahu feekum, brother. And that means that the definition of Al-Asfahani was right on and to the point, as you explained, and you clearly pointed out that this has to do, the problem would be when laziness had to do with our obligations, our duties, the things that we have to do, like the prayer, or perhaps, and you mentioned that the Quran mentioned it twice. And I guess if anybody, of any one of us is lazy while performing his work, that would also be something bad, because it is a duty or obligation and so on. But as I understood from you, brothers, that it is okay if you had done your prayers and your job and everything. There's no problem with relaxing for a little while and getting a phone call from someone telling you to go out and you say, no, I want to stay at home. Is that correct?
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most gracious, all praises are due to Allah, the Almighty, whom He asks to send His peace and blessings upon His final messenger, Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and so on. Of course, we understand that the term, laziness, as Brother Lukman ever so graciously explained, and I believe it's forgetfulness and laziness that share one aspect, and that is lack of interest. But to answer your question, brother, is that you said if you finish your duties, your compulsory, your obligations, then yes, you have the freedom to do whatever you want, as long as you have completed the obligations set by Allah. And a part of these obligations is that you, as a family man, you're taking care of the rights of Allah upon you, and then the rights of your family, the rights of it's all about organizing your time and taking care of the priorities in your life. And whenever you have a free time, alhamdulillah, I can do whatever I want. I can either stay with the family, I can either go out for a walk, go to the gym. It depends on each and every man's interest, as long as it is not contradictory to the Quran and Sunnah. Now, but coming back to the point that I started with, is that when it comes to forgetting something or being lazy, the sharing aspect, the common term between them is lack of interest. And this is why, as Brother Lukman has explained, that hypocrites, hypocrites are people, as Allah had explained in the Quran, they are those who, when worshipping Allah, it's either they do it for the sake of people, or they are actually doing it, very rough-hearted, like cold-hearted towards it. They're going to the mosque, it's like, I don't want to go to the mosque, man. Now, why can't I just pray at home? Or when they're reading the Quran, they just read the first verse and they're like, man, I'm so tired. It can happen, it's all right. And there are many different levels of hypocrisy. Like, we cannot just state that there is one common and, standard level of hypocrisy. There are many different forms of hypocrisy. And our topic today, of course, is away from hypocrisy, but we're just saying that this is a connection to it. Now, what are the steps to get rid of such a devastating or a life-ruining habit? Now, if you look from the prophetic perspective, always seek the Prophet ﷺ as the first aid. Like when you have in each and every company, you have in each and every hospital, any firm that you go to, you will always find a first aid kit. Let that be your first guide. Look at how the Prophet ﷺ used to live his life. Now, I believe we even spoke about this topic way back, a long time ago, that the scholars and the companions, they used to connect their whole, their entire life with the Quran. They used to count the time by the verses of the Quran and so on. Look at how the Prophet ﷺ used to solve this problem. Is that if anyone, this is his teachings, if you have a problem with your prayer, with establishing prayer, you do so by praying. If you have a problem in praying Fajr, if you are too lazy to go to the mosque, the problem is that you do not just seek it from Allah through prayers and you say, oh Allah, do this and that by verbally approaching your Lord. No, it is also by physically approaching God. And how do you physically approach God? Is that you are sincere in intention. And how are you to be sincere in intention? Is by action. There you go. This is how you do it. You do not just sit at home and you say, Allahumma rizukni, oh Allah bless me, oh Allah bless me, and you're sitting at home. Whenever you know there's a business call, it's like, no, I'm just too lazy, I'm waiting for Allah's answer. It's like a story that I read of. A person was in the sea and he was about to drown. So he said, God save me.
Excuse me.
Sorry. So he said, God save me, oh my Lord save me. So there was a ship passing by and he told him, come on, you're about to drown, we're saving you. He said, no, my God will save me. And then another ship passed by and he said, my God will save me. And he left on until he died. And it's just a mocking story. The angel said to him, it's not a true story. The angel said to him that, why did you let yourself drown? He said, I was waiting for God's, help. He said 2 times God sent you a ship to save you. So it's a physical and a logical way of approaching your target, your objective. If I have a religious problem, now this is the worst kind of laziness, is that you are being lazy with Allah the Almighty. If you are lazy with Allah, dear brothers and sisters, you will be most definitely lazy with your worldly necessities. It's so simple. If I'm going to the company, subhanallah, if I'm about to meet my manager, I make sure that I'm on time, and it shows who you are truly worshipping. With all due respect, it shows who you are truly worshipping when I'm not saying that you are bowing down to your superior. I'm not saying you are prostrating yourself to a company or to monetary means. But when you replace, this is the idea of shirk, is when you replace something with Allah. Is it possible to replace something with Allah? Yes. Allah has given you the choice in this world. It's either you worship Allah not just through prayers, not just through du'as and invocations and supplications. No, it's many different ways. It's up to you. God has given you this choice. This is why there is hell and paradise. So which side will you be? What is the first step that we need right now? So we said all of this talk. Now what is the first step? Is that we always seek the intention. Never do an action unless you are striving deep within. How do I strive? It's just a simple thing. I'm going to prayer. I'm thinking about it. No, this is not it. Is that before going out of the house and you're about to go to the mosque, ask yourself these kind of questions. And it happens in a mere second. Am I going for Allah? Am I doing it for Allah? Do I love Allah? Am I thinking of Him right now truly? Or am I trying to please someone else? Because when you replace intentions, not doing so for Allah, doing it for other worldly reasons, this can lead to laziness. There will be no blessing in your time. There will be no blessing in your body. No blessing at all in your health. So you always have to abide by the Quranic and the prophetic traditions, and believe me, through both of them are a gateway to an eternal life of blessings.
Yes.
So the first step, intention. Always rehabilitate your intention, correct it. Yes, it is a fact. Even the scholars used to teach their students. See, in 200 Hijrah, after Hijrah, they used to teach their students an entire topic about teach your children the intention, the art of intention. Go to any student today and tell him what is the intention. He will tell you a niyyah. It's like, I'm not telling you to translate it. I'm telling you what is the intention. They have no idea what the intention is and what it is inside. All right, so this is the intention. What is the second step, if I may say, is that once you've intended, you've established the first floor, go ahead and construct the second floor by action. I have a problem in praying Fajr. What is the solution? Is that I go through the worldly means. After seeking the aid of Allah, Allah has given me a hand to make an alarm. Allah has given me a knowledge that if I sleep on my left side, once I sleep on my left side, my heart will be more pressured by my body. This is biologically proven that your chest, I'm saying logical information. When I sleep on my left, my sleep becomes more heavy. It's scientifically proven because the chest, the lungs. I don't know why I was too lazy to remember this. The lungs, the right lung is actually heavier than the left lung, because the left lung has a space taken away from, a portion taken away from for the heart, for the space of the heart. This makes the right lung heavier than the left lung. And when you sleep on your left side, your heart is doing twice the work and it becomes more tired. It requires more rest. So your sleep becomes even heavier. So when you see, the Prophet ﷺ is what he's saying, sleep on your right side. This is a sunnah. Again, we are abiding by the prophetic traditions. We are logically approaching ways of becoming more active. It's no mere coincidence that the Prophet ﷺ, who never made an autopsy before, never saw the lungs, he would say, sleep on your right side. And he said, do not sleep on your back. Because when you sleep on your back, you're breathing in, there is no muscle here that restricts the jaw movement. When you sleep, this will open like this, and you will breathe in all of the air. Your nose has this filtrating system that prevents all of any air pollution to enter entirely to your lungs. But this does not have the same filtration process. So when you sleep, this will also cause your body to be more exhausted. All of these are logical facts. Scientifically, brothers, please go to the internet. The internet has vast information. And check out what I'm telling you right now. This has been proven 1,500 years ago. But the Prophet said...
Yes, and we experimented. I mean, if I'm coughing and I sleep on my back, I would probably cough more, and I would
most definitely. Most definitely. Yes. But to make it more short, because I know I've taken quite a lot in this point, but
go ahead.
You always have to, it's like going to the gym. Or you already made the intention for going to the gym. Now I want to pick up 50 pounds. How will I pick up 50 pounds as a beginner? By first, going step by step, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds. I start doing step by step. It's by action. So I have to pray the compulsory prayers. So please, brothers, if you are lazy in doing something, do not think that sitting down and just praying to Allah, how will you, the mere action that you are praying is a good step, but continue it. Do not say that I wish I could just pray Fajr in the mosque, or I wish I can just not. It's not by your wishes, it's by actions. And this religion has been simplified for us. So I hope that I have, even though I prolonged in it, but I hope I have at least covered it by the grace of Allah, inshallah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Barakallah feekum, Brother Mustafa. Brother Lukman Hakim, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say, "Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from incapability and laziness." So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is one of the important du'as that he has taught us.
Yes, I think it is, dua that we should remember when we are getting lazy. We should remember this dua and try to say it. And this dua, if we try to analyze this dua, the Prophet, my peace and blessing be upon him, said, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika, oh my Lord, I seek you protection from al-ajiz, min al-ajiz. So the word ajiz actually is that you don't have ability to do something when you feel that you are weak. So you have to seek the protection from Allah. Wal kasal, and also the word kasal, meaning that when you feel that you are lazy to do something, you should remember Allah, that you should seek the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah can help you. And this dua is very interesting, besides an-niyah or intention that Brother Mustafa has explained. So this dua is very interesting that we should remember when we are getting lazy. So now let me talk about, I think we already know the personal laziness. We need to understand and know the society laziness, because you know that we are busy. And we usually say that we have to have one day for break in a week. we have Sunday, for instance. So many people will think that I already work every day. I need one day in order to getting resting. But and also if you are, for instance, living in the Western countries,
You have 2 days.
yes, I mean the people usually say that we need to have day off because God Himself has rested on the Sunday and actually in the Saturday. Because if you look at the Bible, for instance, in the Genesis, I mean the first book of the 5 books of Moses, it's explained that God the first day created such thing and such thing until the 7th day. And when it was 7th day, God rested and God made it holy, special day for God. And then He didn't start and He didn't do anything. But if you look at
Yeah, this is what they say. Yeah.
yes, but if we are going to look at the Quran, we have the free day. In this day, we have to perform free day prayer or Salatul Jumu'ah. But if you look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said relating to this day, وَإِذَا قُضِيَتِ الصَّلَاةُ فَانْتَشِرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Whenever you already have done this prayer, you should spread out from this land. And also you should walk. But if you look at the Bible, God rested in the Saturday.
So it teaches laziness. Yeah.
But in Islam not, because after doing Salatul Jum'ah, after doing Friday prayer, you still have to walk. You still have
go to the market and go
everywhere as you wish. We only spend for about, maybe 15 minutes or less than 50 minutes in order to perform Friday prayer. After that, you have to walk. You have to do any activities. Because actually Islam teaches us that we have to use opportunity. Whenever opportunity is coming to us, we should not miss this opportunity. We should take this opportunity. This is very interesting lesson that we can learn from this ayah. And whenever we are trying to compare between what the Bible said and also what the Quran said, it's very interesting to understand and to know the difference between Quran and the Bible.
Subhanallah. And we, brothers, we have to watch a report together now, prepared by our team here, and come back and continue our discussion. Let's watch this.
When considering the subject of laziness, it is important to remember that laziness has multiple dimensions and can affect more than one's work or studies. In fact, many dimensions of laziness are interrelated. For example, a lack of physical activity can make it difficult to pray on time and increase depression. Thus, by attending prayers in the masjid, one can simultaneously boost their physical activity while fulfilling their duties as a Muslim. Moreover, by visiting the masjid and remaining in touch with the brothers and sisters in one's neighborhood, an individual is less likely to neglect the needs of his or her community and thereby fulfill one's obligations to other Muslims. Indeed, remaining involved in one's community, particularly in locations where Muslims are a minority, can have a positive impact on an individual's performance with respect to employment, academic pursuits, and religious commitment. For instance, by remaining in isolation, one may believe that his or her financial or academic misfortunes are insurmountable, which by extension intensifies their depression, reduces motivation, and negatively impacts one's iman. Likewise, if other Muslims are not aware that their brother or sister is experiencing hardship, it is impossible for them to provide appropriate support. In attempting to meet one's financial, communal, and religious obligations, it is quite easy to forget the importance of spending time with family. This can cause a husband, wife, or child to feel unwanted, and possibly lead them toward depression or haram practices. Furthermore, it is imperative to spend time with one's children, not only to properly educate them about basic Islamic principles, but also to pass on valuable skills and unique experiences. In sum, not addressing all potential dimensions of laziness can have a detrimental effect on the overall quality of one's life, both materially and spiritually. Thus, care should be taken to remain equally proactive with respect to community involvement, education, family, physical fitness, and work.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Brother Mustafa, you told me that there are many other hadith that talk about and warn us about laziness. Brother Lukman Hakim mentioned the hadith, oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from incapability and laziness, and perhaps this is the very famous hadith, but please tell us about others.
Another hadith is that it also approves, by the grace of Allah, it approves what I was saying at the beginning. The reason why I'm saying this to the viewers is that please make sure that whatever brother like me or anyone else, when we're talking, we are never contradicting the hadith. So this is why I'm always telling the brothers that a hadith has approved what I am saying, so that the brother would have this habit, you know, like whenever they hear anything outside in the streets or the mosques, the Prophet ﷺ approve of this. So this is really important. Coming back to this one, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ stating what the actions of Satan during sleep. Now, this is really weird because we said in the beginning intention and then action. Now, in this hadith, it goes step by step. The Prophet ﷺ said that Satan ties 3 knots on the back of the believer's head or on the back of the head of any person. So what are these 3 knots? Do we see these 3 knots? No. Do we feel them? No. But we experience them. Does it symbolically mean anything? We will check it out in the hadith as we go further. The Prophet ﷺ further explains, says that when the believer or when the person wakes up, now he's talking about Fajr, he's talking about Fajr. He says when he wakes up and remembers Allah, now we said intention. When he remembers Allah, 1 knot is untied. When he performs ablution, now he's going for that will to strive in the way of Allah. When he performs ablution, preparation for the action, another knot is untied. And finally, when the person prays, all right, when the person performs the action, he has untied the last knot. The 3rd knot is untied by the grace of Allah. So what happens? He will wake up energetic, you know, capable of going through the day. So what does this hadith simplify for us or symbolically approves for us? Is that when you go with the intention, when you remember the name of Allah, immediately 1 knot is untied. Even Brother Lukman said that we always, with this dua, the previous invocation by the Prophet ﷺ, that I seek refuge with Allah from laziness and tardiness, or maybe used in many different ways. So what happens is that you have to intend. So we remember the name of Allah, we are the servants of Allah, we do not own our bodies, it's under the ownership of Allah. He has given you this body not to just play around, my friend, no, to do actions. Allah says in the Quran, and you have the ins and the jinn and ins, that the demons or the jinn and mankind have not been created in this world but to worship Allah. So when you wake up for Fajr, I keep repeating Fajr as an example because I do not believe it'll be successful that I tell you be energetic when you go to work, be energetic when making money, be energetic with your family, but then you have not established all of this upon Fajr. It's a waste of life. What will be the difference between you and a non-believer? He is also successful when it comes to his family, only the good amongst them, and so on. What will be so unique about you? This is why I keep stating the Fajr prayer, because it is the connection between you and Allah. If you want to know the level of your faith and connection with Allah, look at your Fajr prayer. Is it in the mosque or is it at home? Is it late? Is it early? Is it on time? Are you excited to go for Fajr? Before sleeping, are you saying, oh Allah, I hope you will not be angry upon me, that you will not allow me to wake up for Fajr? Is this your connection with Allah? you know, like even the Prophet ﷺ said that this is the connection, that from one prayer to one prayer, you keep saying that I am awaiting my prayer, I'm awaiting my prayer. That is the connection between you and Allah.
MashaAllah, barakallahu feek.
So when it comes to this main factor, it's really important, is that from this hadith it shows you remembering Allah and then preparation. This is what we will talk about, inshallah. So we already know remembering Allah from all its different forms. Seeking His aid. Do not be ashamed when you are telling Allah, oh Allah, I am weak and lazy. He will help you out. It's the preparation that counts. And then have you really prepared for it? Have you made the alarm? Have you ate light? We will also talk about this.
Yes.
Are you physically,
Yes.
you know, like taking care of yourself?
We'll get to that.
Alhamdulillah.
Brother Lukman, it's interesting that prayer in itself makes us fit. I mean, going to wudu and then going to pray 5 times a day, so at least 17 rak'ahs per day, and then you have at least 5 wudus per day. I mean, that helps us, and I think that you know, science has proven that, especially when we get older, that doing this is good for our bones, good for our back, good for everything.
Yes, this is very interesting when we are going to talk about the prayer, and as we know that prayer is the second pillar of Islam, and prayer is very important in Islam. So actually when we are going to talk about the wisdom of prayer, there are many wisdom that we can derive from the prayer, that we can learn from the prayer. At least the most important lesson that we can learn is prayer teach us to be the disciplined people, because you have to pray on time, you have to pray on Duhur on time, you have to pray Asr on time, you have to pray Maghrib on time. You cannot pray, for instance, Duhur in the time of Asr, or you cannot pray the Asr in the time of Isha, because every prayer has its special time. So actually, if you look at this, timetable of the prayer, you will know that Islam actually teaches us to be the disciplined people. We have to respect the time. Time is not money in Islam, but time is your life itself. Because probably we are familiar with the wise word saying that the time is money, but in Islam, time is more than money. It is yourself. You cannot replace the time that you already miss. Because time is yourself. Whenever you miss opportunity, you will be gone. You will not have any opportunity again. So prayer is very significant in Islam, is very important. And Islam, it teaches us how to be the disciplined people.
Indeed. And I guess also the moves, the physical moves that we do during prayer. I've heard many doctors, famous doctors, saying that these moves have been proven to be very important for our bodies. The prostration, the ruku' and so on, and getting down and then getting up. And you feel that it is an exercise, subhanAllah. And then purifying our bodies with the water and so on during wudu. Many people feel could go into prayer while feeling a bit tired, a bit tired. Yes, that's the word I wanted to use. But after praying, you could feel like that you're fresh. I mean, this does happen a lot.
Yes, actually, movements that we are trying in the prayer has many benefits. At least for us who doesn't usually exercise, because to keep our body healthy, we need to exercise. But if you don't have time to do that, prayer is vision for you.
Especially for the old people.
Yes, especially for the old people, because you move your body, you like doing exercise. So it's very important wisdom that we can take from
Yeah.
the prayer, I think.
Brother Mustafa, you were just trying to get us into tips about how to get rid of our laziness.
There is a hadith which tells you that by the Prophet ﷺ, he always used to entice people to, incite people, I don't know why I use the word entice, in order to pray the tahajjud.
It's a correct word.
Incite or entice?
No, entice, it's a correct
Yes,
word.
but I don't know, because sometimes
You
lazy or lack of interest. It's okay.
No, it's the correct word.
And so sometimes
To encourage them to yeah.
in the end, I'm not a dictionary. I'm just, it's okay. But what I really find interesting that the Prophet ﷺ is always telling.
Both are correct, by the way. Sorry to have interrupted you.
Both
I think
are
they
correct.
both fit the phrase, but entice is more appropriate.
See, even when
That's
I
what
forget, I'm
believe.
smart. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. But subhanallah, like when the Prophet ﷺ, he always tells the companions, you will notice this in his lifetime, that he would always, people will come to them and say, I have a certain problem. The Prophet ﷺ, the first thing we would say, all right, what have you prepared for it? Or what have you done for it? He didn't say, what have you intended? You know what I mean? So it's always by actions. So your mentality should be actions. Yes, intention is an inner, action or something that's deep within. It doesn't involve your limbs, but it is also an action, something in which you have to mentally exercise for. There are many books out there that you can read that tells you how to interconnect yourself. Even you will be most surprised that the Quran is indirectly exercising your intention. That in another sense, the companions, the moment they would hear the verses saying, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, they would immediately look the other way and look towards the Prophet ﷺ, and they would be attentive. Why? They know Allah is speaking to them. Why? The other verses is like, O Muhammad, O Muhammad. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
But when it comes to the companions, even though they're very attentive, they would seek in attention more. They would look even closer to the Prophet ﷺ. They would say, we are awaiting Allah's commands.
And when we read Quran, this is how we feel about when
Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. You start
the ayah
comparing.
starts with the ya ayyuha alladhina amanu.
You feel connected to the Quran. Now, there are many tips in which we can give out to the brothers and sisters today, inshallah. First off, give the rights of Allah when it comes to actions.
I just want to say one
Yes.
word, if you allow me. When you said that, it's all about actions, and I do agree with you. Of course, intention is the foundation, I guess we can say, because if you are acting, if you're doing the right things, but your intention is not purely aimed at satisfying Allah, then all of this would end up to nothing. But so intention is the foundation. But sometimes, subhanallah, even if you didn't have the right intention from the beginning, and it was not pure, but it was there, but it was not pure. But you start to act and to do and to go to the mosque and to pray on time and to wake up for Fajr and so on and to give away money, and you start to doing that, even if you are at the beginning a bit, again, not purely doing it with 100% iman, but it comes after that. It comes. It will come one day.
You establish faith upon action. This is subhanallah, brother. You have just concluded everything here. You have just.
No, I just took the tip from you.
No, my brother. May Allah
you
bless
gave
you.
me the idea. Yeah, when you.
May Allah bless you. But what I'm saying is that subhanallah, what you said is 100% correct. Because if people want to become closer to Allah, you have to understand one thing. We are the servants of Allah. Allah is not our servant. You have to know that when you are seeking the aid of Allah, you have to know that Allah is above His throne, above the 7 heavens, and He is commanding you. And so when you are telling Him, oh Allah, I am weak, I am lazy, that doesn't mean that Allah will be physically coming down to you. No, He will give you the means. Why? Come on, it's either paradise or hell. Work for it. This is the religion of men. This is in no other words, this is the religion of true men and true women, civilized and ladies. Just to bring it short, I have to as well understand my religion. Islam does not just tell me do not be lazy and leaves me lost, not knowing what are the steps. No, Islam has given me 5 daily prayers. Yes, it's difficult for a lazy person in the first week or 2 weeks, but then later on you'll be so connected to the prayer. the connection between you and Allah starts to grow stronger. Why? It is psychologically proven that when a person is doing something over and over and over, he becomes comfortable in doing it. He memorizes all of the steps. His body gets used to it. So he starts feeling that he is not doing anything anymore. Are you trying to convince me that taxi drivers are voluntarily, shifting the gears? They keep intending to shift the gears or to press the pedal or to change with the steering wheel. No, they got used to it. Unless if it's the essence of laziness, then most of these taxi drivers would work other jobs. So this shows that it's in the as this expression says, it's now it's in my spine, it's in my back now. It's a habit. I don't feel tired anymore. So I go to prayer as an automatic response. Once I hear the adhan, I will not be in need of striving with the intention. Why? That was only the first time. That was only in the first week that I was trying to get closer to Allah. You have to work hard for it. The first step is always the hardest. The first day is always the hardest.
It could be the first week, it could be the first month, it could be the first year.
Depending on whom.
Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yahdi man yasha.
Subhanallah. When even Allah said in the Quran that when the person strives for guidance, we shall guide him above guidance. So he's giving you the means, but he wants you to act. Why? Because this religion is only for the person who truly deserves it. This is why Allah said, except those who come to me with a pure heart. Who come to Allah with a pure heart. What is the pure heart? Away from all of these filthy things. Another approach is a scientific one. People will think that when I'm sitting on the couch and watching TV, the body excretes dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical excreted by the body for happiness. So this dopamine, yes, I'm the master of laziness then. But when I do so, let me tell you that when I go to the gym, I feel I have more dopamine than while watching TV. If I'm reading a book, yes, the first day is boring. Choose a book that you love, my friend. Why are you choosing a book that you do not love?
Yeah.
It's logically. Do not blame the strategy, blame the person who is founding the strategy. If you are saying that I want to read the Quran, subhanallah, no one can get bored unless those who are away from Allah. This is your measurement. Read the Quran now. As you're hearing my annoying voice, just read the Quran now and see if you are bored from this verse. It's okay. You are not a disbeliever, but you might be one if you continue in this path. Approach Allah and say, oh Allah, I have a problem. Let Allah be your guide, but still you serve Him. It's not the other way around.
SubhanAllah, barakallahu feekum. Dear brothers, we'll be taking a short break and come back to continue our discussion. Dear brothers and sisters, please stay with us. We'll be back with Brother Mustafa Abdul Qayyum and Brother Lukman Hakim here in the studio shortly, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say in hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari, "O Allah, I seek refuge with you from the affliction of the fire, the punishment of the fire, the affliction of the grave, the punishment of the grave, and the evil of the affliction of poverty. O Allah, I seek refuge with you from the evil of the affliction of Al-Masih al-Dajjal. O Allah, cleanse my heart with the water of snow and hail, and cleanse my heart from all sins as a white garment is cleansed from filth, and let there be a faraway distance between me and my sins, as you made the east and west far away from each other. O Allah, I seek refuge with you from laziness, sins, and from being in debt." So, Sadaqa Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I mean, laziness is mentioned here in many hadith, and so it's noticeable that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wants us to also make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to sway us, to make us stay away from laziness. So it means it is indeed a despicable characteristic that we have to stay away with. But so we've mentioned now, you've mentioned, Brother Luqman, the two ayahs in the Holy Quran that talk about them, and that they were talking about hypocrites mainly, al-munafiqun. But these are for us here, Muslims, to memorize this and to make this dua.
I think dua is the key to the believers, because in dua we will find the solution. Because if you just trust in yourself and you stay away from Allah, it's problematic for a Muslim, because you cannot depend everything on yourself. You need to remember Allah, that Allah is the source of the power. Whenever you have the problem, you should go back to Him. You should ask Him in order to give you the solution. That is why this dua is very interesting, because this dua reminds us to stay away from being lazy people, to have high ambition, because Muslims should have high ambition, high expectation.
Yeah.
For instance, if you look at what the Prophet ﷺ said, if you want to ask Allah about Jannah, about the paradise, you should ask Firdaus, because the Firdaus is the high level of Jannah. Although you know that, of course, not all of us has opportunity to stay in Jannah al-Firdaus, because this is the high Jannah. But you have to ask Allah high level of Jannah, because if you fail, you will stay, still in the Jannah. Yes. This is why, this hadith is teaching us that we have to have high ambition. Yeah. If you look at, the companions of the Prophet, the companion of the Prophet used to say to the Prophet of Allah, the Prophet Muhammad, give me opportunity to accompany you in Jannah, in paradise. Because Muslim has to have a big dream. It's not, you just need to pass the standard. You have to get the high level, the high rank of, your position.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, because if you look at also, for instance, the Prophet ever said that the strong Muslim is better in the eyes of Allah than the weak Muslim. Because we have to be strong financially, we have to be strong physically. It's not only financially, but also physically. That is why the Prophet encouraged us to exercise,
Indeed.
To have exercise.
And being active, I guess, and proactive and positive means definitely then you are stronger than the so-called negative person or the lazy person. And Brother Luqman, it's very important that you mentioned that again, you stress on the importance of dua, because we, all of us, sometimes forget this key element of worship, or forget the importance of it, or the how big it is, dua, because in many cases every road is blocked and there is nothing to do but dua. In many cases you've done what you think, at least the best that you could have, and so on, but everything is blocked, so there is nothing to do except dua. But I guess we should resort to dua not only when the roads are blocked, but always consistently. And when you mentioned that the importance here, the Prophet ﷺ is teaching us once again to seek help from Allah. We say this in every prayer, don't we?
Yes.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. So
Yes.
We are saying in every prayer, oh Allah, please help us, please help us, because you are the only one that can help. Brother Mustafa, you were going to talk about adjusting your sleeping habits, taking care of your eating habits, and that stuff, so that we try and become less lazy, if you will.
Well, subhanAllah, I will just say simplified factors for the brothers and sisters, inshallah. First one is that you must have a role model. Who is your role model? If you notice a lot of, like if you check out YouTube today, those who want to exercise, the first thing that they watch is motivational videos. They get this, humongous person, and he says, man, I was in high school and I was blah, blah, blah. And so a person always will have a role model in the ambition that he has. So you must have a role model. And make sure that this person is not contradicting the Quran and Sunnah, and it can be any person you want, as long as he does not anger Allah. So the best role model, of course, is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now look at him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Read his biography, read his ahadith, love everything that he does, and believe me, you will notice that the Prophet ﷺ was not merely a man who would just receive the revelation through, either with visions or by hearing the verse from Gabriel, peace be upon him. No, this person was so, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was so active. He would lead expeditions. He would supervise an entire state, who would make sure that his envoys that he has sent upon different nations are safe and sound, and that all of his armies are not contradicting the Quranic teachings, that they are not harming the innocent. And at the same time, he was a family man. He was married. Who amongst us is capable of marrying 2 women today? But he was married to, different narrations, 11, 9, 13. It's
That's
enough.
only for
The Prophet ﷺ. Yeah, of course, and it's good that you implied this, for people who think that.
Yeah,
yes,
of course, that's the that permission was given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the Prophet ﷺ only.
And for specific reasons, of course, that only.
Yeah, of course.
And subhanallah, when you have a role model, you become more, you can say, devout. And this is the key. When you're devout, when you're devoted to something, believe me, you will love what you do. If you love to, just for an example, you're playing some PlayStation game. You're so in love with it to the extent that you are playing for 4 to 5 hours. If you noticed it, your hands would have become so tired, your back would have become so tired, you would have immediately from the second minute stood up and said, I don't want to play anymore. It's painful. But no, it's all about interest. So imagine when you are praying Qiyam al-Layl, Tahajjud, you are praying to Allah. Look at Uthman ibn Affan, may Allah be pleased with him, who used to read the entire Quran, not just in an entire day, no, in 1 rak'ah. He would complete the entire Quran in 1 rak'ah. These are the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ. But look at us today, what we're doing. When we're going to work, we're going bored. Why, my friend? You're going to work. Allah has blessed you with a job. Others are unable to find this job. Love what you do. Show some gratitude, and believe me, Allah will bless you in your work. If others are being negative around you, saying, I hate this work, man, calm him down. Just tap on his shoulders. Say, brother, this is a blessing from Allah. Ignore all of the problems. This person did this to me. It's so stressful. This can lead, when you're being ungrateful, this can lead to laziness. Why? You will sit around, peckering about something like a little bird, saying, well, etc., complaining, nagging. In the end, you're not solving anything. But when you are grateful to Allah, this shows another thing. It gets not a backfiring, result. No, it gets you more proactive, more active, energetic. Now, another step is that once you have taken the role model, to me, personally, by the grace of Allah, I cannot find any better role model than Prophet Muhammad ﷺ.
And to all Muslims,
inshallah. Of course. Yeah. And now,
or at least that's the way it should be.
This is the thing prescribed by Allah. Whoever is a believer should take this. Whoever is having doubts, it says, may Allah guide them. May Allah guide all of us. So another thing is that you have to also go by physical means, exercising. It doesn't have to be only the gym. You can love running. You can love swimming. Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, while he was holding the caliphate, he would always, encourage the believers to swim or practice arrow, like to practice throwing the arrows.
Or ride horses.
Or ride horses as well, and sword fighting, wrestling. Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, was so huge. He was very muscular. He was a wrestler. And this man, may Allah be pleased with him, was a poet. He was very poetic. He was so eloquent in the same time.
But since you mentioned that he was so strong, but I remember that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he grabbed him, the Prophet was 40 times stronger than him, right? Because that's the force again given to prophets by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is that correct?
Let me tell you another story which is even stronger than this one.
Okay.
The Prophet ﷺ, in his expeditions, there came one of the strongest wrestlers in the Arabian Peninsula. He was so strong, his reputation was known well in the Arab world. And he came and he's like, who is this prophet? And when he saw Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, did the Prophet ﷺ say, guards, seize him? Or no. He told him that if I win you, it was the disbeliever. He said that if you defeat me, I will become a Muslim. And the Prophet ﷺ said, accept it, okay. And he stood up, he just took off the clothes that needed to be taken off, and only the one, fighting, very easy for fighting, more comfortable. And he wrestled him, and the Prophet ﷺ won.
SubhanAllah.
It wasn't only the idea of being a prophet or not. Allah, the Almighty, gave him all of the strength, all of these miracles, because the Prophet ﷺ would always seek it by actions. He deserved it by manners as well. Allah did not just make the Prophet ﷺ out of no one into someone. No, he was always, even before the prophethood, he was always kind, affectionate, compassionate, merciful, well-mannered, very tidy, very clean. So this also gets us to another point, is that a person, after having a role model, after physically exercising, why? You must exercise. Brothers, at least 2 times a week. At least 2 times a week. To preserve your body. Prayers are good for relieving you of any arthritis pain. In the knees, in the shoulder, in the back, anything, you name it, osteoarthritis, whatever the kind of problems, they can be removed easily by practicing prayer on timely basis and in the way that your doctor will not see against you. Allah allowed for you to sit down if you're tired. But then coming to cleanliness. What does cleanliness have to do with laziness? It has a lot to do, brother. If you are lazy to clean yourself, then you are having a psychological problem. There's something that you need to be fixed fast. Because you cannot pray unless you're clean. And clean from all different angles. From the private parts, making sure, see how such an extent, not one drop of a filth is coming out of you, and that everything is clean and dry before performing wudu, ablution, before prayer. 3 times the filtration process.
And that's again, and that cleanness again, subhanallah, is a trait for us Muslims before anybody else. I mean, the tahara is for us, alhamdulillah.
I'm too lazy to say anything anymore.
Okay. Brother Luqman, the sleeping habits, and I guess some of us sleep early and wake up early, others sleep late, wake up late. Maybe it's because of their people have different jobs, they might sleep late and wake up late. Others prefer to do that. Some people stay up until Fajr and they pray Fajr and then they sleep and they wake up before Dhuhr if their jobs allow them. So adjusting sleeping habits, how important do you think it is, or at least a routine for sleeping habits, how important do you think that is?
Yes.
For us being active?
Yes, it's very interesting to sleep early, because if you want to have your day successful, you need to sleep early. Otherwise, your day will be failed. This is, the problem that we are facing today. Especially we are living in modern time. We have internet, we have Facebook, we have Twitter. We are busy with social medias. So sometimes before we are going to sleep, we spend many hours in order to check our Facebook notification, our Twitter, and also to watch YouTube. And then we are staying up and we don't, we don't
only sleep
early.
a couple of hours before Fajr, for instance.
Yes, and also sometimes we are going asleep and then we miss Fajr prayer. So it's problem that we have, especially for modern people today. We need to remember that we have to go bed early, otherwise our day will be successful day. Because you need stamina, you need energy in order to do many activities. If you don't sleep very well, and then you are getting tired, and then you become lazy. You don't want to do this, you don't want to do that, you don't want to go to work to your campus for the students. So the problem is coming because we don't sleep very well. So to overcome the laziness, we have to go bed early.
I guess the eating habits as well. If we eat a lot,
Yes.
and if we eat, especially if we eat before sleeping, I guess that would make us lazy, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I mean,
We need to, I mean, to understand that we cannot fool our stomach by eating many things.
Whatever we want. You know.
Whatever we want.
Whenever we want.
Because when you are getting full, you will feel lazy. You cannot do anything, and then you are going to sleep. Sleeping and sleeping and sleeping, then you will do nothing. This is the problem that we have actually, because many people, whenever they see food, I cannot control it. I want to take it. I want to satisfy my stomach.
Alhamdulillah, it is one of the great graces of Allah, subhanallah. I mean, alhamdulillah. So are you still...
No, I'm
well, you were very active, Brother Mustafa. I mean, I don't believe that you were lazy back then, but about 3 or 4 minutes ago. So do you have your energy back after
yes,
the
alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
momentary stop?
See, when it comes to eating habits, Allah, the Almighty says in the Quran, "Kulu washrabu wa la tusrifu." Eat and drink, but do not excess. And subhanallah, all the scholars, this is said by Ibn al-Qayyim, may Allah have mercy upon him, he said that all the scholars have agreed that all of the medicinal or the biological or medical explanations or treatments have been summarized in this verse. Because today's doctors, they say that you are what you eat. You are what you eat. If you want to know a person by his personality, by his traits, by his movement, by his exercising habits, or his strength, is by what he eats. If you go to, subhanallah, and we also read the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ who says, eat 1/3, drink 1/3, and leave the rest for you to breathe. So we understand that breathing, if you notice, we said in the report that fat will not be burned unless in the presence of oxygen and so on. All of this is a factor or a key component of becoming a better person, a better version of yourself, either physically, mentally, psychologically. It has different ways. But the Prophet ﷺ used to, this is an amazing thing, is that he would come to his household and he would say, is there any food today? Subhanallah, he would say, is there any food today? His wife would say no. He would say, then I am fasting. See, he would take advantage of each and every moment. He was not a lazy person. He was not like most, the emperors and the kings who are sitting upon the throne and doing nothing but either giving verdicts or ruling and sending armies. No, he would join the expeditions. He would join in protecting his nation. He would build the mosques with them. He would bury his companions and take care of their families. He was a very active man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he is supposed to be our role model. Because if you seek anyone else, let's say you are seeking, if you are seeking me as a role model, you will fail the next day. Why? Because me, I'm very weak. I am unable to do many negative things you will find in me. But if I am following the Prophet ﷺ, you will find me that I'm only following him still in a weak way. I'm not giving him his rights of obedience. But a person who is giving full rights of the Prophet ﷺ, he will be the most successful person in this world. Because he has grasped the hereafter and the world in the same time.
On that great note, we no better note to end it better than here. Thank you, dear brothers and sisters, for watching us. Thank you very much, Brother Mustafa Abdul Qayyum, head of the Al-Turjuman Translation Center. And thank you very much, Brother Lukman Hakim from Indonesia, a postgraduate student here at Al-Azhar. It's been a pleasure having you gentlemen with us, and thank you for watching. Until we meet again here on Huda Tonight. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.